One Piece
is real. It's real, Knick Knack.
Can we get much higher?
We can try.
Hi, viewers. Okay, louder is not gonna happen. Just be lucky that I'm not squeaking like a squeak toy. But we're having a podcast type of day, you know? So Knick Knack's with me and Cece's with me. And this isn't technically, it's not really an off the shelf, but it's sort of a first half look back at One Piece, right? Because so I'm up to date on the anime and the manga and the live action now, right? And Knick Knack, we just released the video recently of you finishing the manga up to the end of Marineford and the Paramount War, right? And Cece is done up to Paramount War and Marineford in the anime, right?
Yes.
And Knick Knack hasn't seen the anime past before Drum Island, so.
I believe I'm all the way up to a little past Dressrosa and going
yeah,
on to...
but we're only talking about up to the
Yeah.
end of Summit War today. So we thought we'd get together and kind of talk about the anime, the manga. You know, I don't necessarily think similarities and differences it really matters much in this case because it's actually pretty fucking faithful one-to-one. Outside of course, the obligatory filler arc discussion that we will be having about the Foxy arc.
Arguably too faithful in some cases.
Yeah, especially later. But yeah, so Cece, you've been into One Piece for a lot longer.
Yes. Quite literally, Seki. I think I started watching it specifically because you would not stop bothering me about it, to be quite frank.
I'm really good at that.
But honestly, after I got past, I want to say Arlong Park, honestly, I really started getting it more into the story. And for Knick Knack and Seki, they know that I'm more of a binge watcher. So what I've been actually doing is that I've been watching an arc at a time. So...
Pretty much.
God bless your screen time when you hit Dressrosa.
Oh yeah, no, that was definitely 2 weeks. Where I just kind of kept going.
Yeah, I don't have time to watch that much anime.
Yeah,
Listen.
literally, the agreement here is that he reads manga because you can read manga way faster than you can watch anime.
Listen. It's not the fact that I have more time than you, Knick Knack. It's quite frankly the fact that I'm willing to sacrifice sleep. Which I very much understand that this is not the goal. Please do not do this. But I am very much on a schedule of, if I sleep 4 hours, that's a good day.
Well, I think I realized the hell Seki was in as we're doing these One Piece discussions for the club, because like we're sitting there, I'm like, oh, these are the shorter arcs. This isn't even a saga. This is an arc.
Like we were gonna very quickly hit the point where even with 5 submissions in a season, I wasn't gonna be able to finish a saga in a season. Like I couldn't even go saga to season, right? And even saga to season, we're on 10 sagas at this point. That's 10 years.
Like I think Seki would have made an accomplishment finishing up Alabasta in the club format.
Because it took us like, what, 4 years to get to...
Oh, okay.
Get to the start of Alabasta?
Not 4 years.
Granted, I was also submitting other things at the time, so it wasn't the only thing I was submitting.
It was more like 2 years to get you where we were at, and that's when you just gave up on it and started focusing on Fairy Tail and other stuff.
Yeah, because I was coming out so infrequently, and it was either put One Piece and nothing else in to the exclusion of anything else I wanted them to watch, right?
Yeah.
Or deal with the fact that it was going to be like once, maybe twice a year. And when you're only watching 17 episodes or less in a lot of those cases.
Oh yeah, no, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, there are arcs longer than 17 episodes.
Yeah.
Like already the club format's not well suited for the old shonen style. But One Piece in particular, more so than even other ones like Fairy Tail or Naruto, was really screwed over.
Mm-hmm.
at least Fairy Tail or Naruto, you could hit major checkpoints in about a club season, even submitting half your submissions for it.
Yeah, no, I will definitely say that One Piece is definitely a beast of a different kind.
But One Piece as the outlier also, because it's an outlier, there was no valid reason to make a separate special rule just for this one anime series, you know? As it is, One Piece is already the thing that I use to kind of push our general episode total up slightly, because our rule used to be 12 plus or minus 5, which went up to 17, and I think it might have been One Piece that I first asked if I could push to 20. And then 20 is kind of now our max. I try not to hit 20 every time when I'm putting a shonen in, but when you're trying to get through 328 episodes of Fairy Tail, sometimes needs must, you're watching 22 episodes today.
But obviously, when One Piece is quadruple that size...
Yeah, when 328 isn't even the first half of the series.
Yeah.
When you don't even come back from the time skip until episode 516.
I think I actually wrote how many episodes were in each arc.
Yeah, it's 516 to them coming back from the time skip. They come back in episode 516.
And unfortunately, I'm sitting here like, I can't even appease her though, because I'm looking at these episode counts and I'm like, man, I don't have the time and the patience I used to have for anime.
And to be honest, while I appreciate and value the contributions of One Piece to making One Piece more easily watchable for people who might not want to watch all of the extraneous bits, it doesn't feel fair that I get to use something like One Piece to push you guys through huge chunks of anime, you know? Because you're not really watching the anime the way it was intended to be watched.
So it's...
That's not fair.
So ultimately I settled on doing the manga. At first I wasn't even going to tell Seki I was reading the manga. I was just going to read it and get to the time skip or even catch up and then tell her.
But then you realized how long it was going to be?
No, then I realized I needed to be setting goals, and it also worked as a good leverage point to get you to read some visual novels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
I'll be honest, I think I would have just gone with the fact of I would have read it and then told Seki.
Yeah, but I think if you think about the timeline right now, right,
Yeah.
with as much other stuff as Knick-Knack is doing for the channel and work and family time and stuff like that, we've been at this for over a year now at this point, and we've just hit the time skip.
Okay.
Granted, post time skip, I mean, I'm kind of just gonna go saga by saga like we've been going, and with Vorn hopefully coming in to film more videos with me and maybe trying to do some other new stuff, I'd like to lighten the load on Knick-Knack so he can focus on things like One Piece, which are longer.
Yeah,
but we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah, especially since it's clear that you're now enjoying reading it as well.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think some arcs more than others.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Hey, Cece. Knick-Knack likes Foxy. Discuss.
Yes. So Foxy's a fun difference because in the manga, Foxy is absolutely a non-issue. It is just a short, little, cute, kind of meaningful, actually, little diversion from the main plot. Where the stakes are different than just a fight that the crew won't lose because they're not going to kill the crew off.
I will absolutely say that I have been told that Foxy is a non-issue in the manga. Essentially, if I remember correctly, it's basically one chapter, but and I won't lie, I will state that in the actual anime, the first episode, honestly, the second episode, completely fine. I actually really enjoyed them. It's when I kept seeing him over and over and over again, and I was like, why won't you go away, you damn cockroach? Where I was like, why are you here?
Why are we repeating the same exact plot 3 times in a row?
But also it's the fact that even in the later episodes, which again I know you're not good. You are you actually interested in seeing them in general?
The anime?
It was like that specific part even.
No.
Okay. So I could talk about this then. A little bit of spoilers. It is the fact that like in the later episodes that are not in the manga, he's not even abiding by his own rules. Like he goes way off course after that, and I'm like, okay, it was cute in the first couple of them because it's like a set of rules. It's kind of nice. It's actually even really fun. But after that, I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Why are you coming back again?
And again.
And again.
I think, what was it, 6 or 8 total episodes where he just like kept coming back over and over.
It's I think 2.5 arcs basically.
Yeah.
Which is really the annoying part. I remember like Cece texted me when she hit Buggy's return. Foxy's return, and was like, he's back. And I was like,
and isn't there like no break between these arcs?
No, they're like back to back basically.
Yeah,
in the same chunk.
It kind of like it portrayed him, and again, like I thought that was gonna be like just a transitional thing, like a cute little thing like that did between like an island.
That's what he was in the manga.
Mm-hmm. No, he followed them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like,
like they turned this one throwaway, like just cute little bonding moment for the Straw Hats.
Yeah, no, and honestly, like I said, like I absolutely enjoyed that. Like 100%. If you just cut out the other little episodes right there, we're fine.
They decided to give it a full arc length.
Unfortunately, to my detriment.
Yeah, one of the few actual like arc length pieces of filler. I think the other main one in this like first half. There's two. There's Ryukyu Island, which is right after Logetown. The Dragon Island after Logetown.
Yeah.
And the G6 Marine Base.
They also expanded. Was it Logetown they expanded upon dramatically?
In which, the anime or the manga?
The anime. Because we did watch up to the town where like Luffy's gonna be like where they.
Well, we watched past Logetown.
Yeah.
The channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched just past it.
We watched up to the first island of Alabasta.
Yeah, that's like one submission past it.
Because I skipped the filler.
Yeah.
That was after Logetown. I skipped Ryukyu Island.
But Logetown itself, like, a lot of what happened in the anime in Logetown did not happen in the manga.
Some of it happened, it just wasn't shown in as much detail. You know? It's like Zoro had the same thing with the swords happen. They still met Daddy the Father.
I don't remember Daddy the Father at all in the manga.
Was Daddy the Father not in the manga?
I'll check.
I thought he was briefly. I just thought it wasn't as
Daddy
big.
the Father wasn't in the manga. There was a little fishing side thing that wasn't in the manga.
Oh, you mean the competition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they really turned Logetown into an entire arc, when in the anime it was just Zoro with the swords. Or not, in the manga it was just Zoro with the swords, and if I'm not wrong, the Luffy...
it's in the
Luffy
novel.
smoker.
That's why I was confused. It's in the novel.
Yeah.
Anime and novel, yeah.
Novel. So basically they created a novelization of Logetown.
Well, they created a novelization of a bunch of chunks.
So it's like that fairy tale situation where they weren't really filler, they were just adapting other material.
Well, the novel came after, so it is from the anime, yeah.
Oh, it was from the anime.
Yeah.
It was from the anime, but they put it in the novel. Okay.
Yeah. There was a later novelization. So yeah, no, they definitely did expand some stuff in the anime. Yeah.
Which is weird, because there's like parts of the anime in East Blue which I could have swore, I feel like that's filler. It was not filler.
Yeah, right?
Boxman.
Yeah, no, not filler, surprisingly.
Yeah, not filler.
You know what the best part about that is? Boxman will return.
Yeah.
In Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
I think
But yeah, they're... Shh, don't tell them where.
Okay.
But yeah, so I skipped Ryukyu Island. Obviously, you didn't have to watch Ryukyu Island,
No.
even though that was in the episode submission that we would.
By then, you had watched enough episodes of the channel that you were allowed to skip around a bit.
Yeah. And then I also skipped over the G6 base.
Okay.
So he really didn't have to watch any filler at all, for all intents and purposes. Not that One Piece has a lot of filler, but I skipped the filler that was there that I could, and then we stopped. So. But I mean, he's not even seen Chopper's episode. Chopper's section in anime.
Okay.
with like Dr. Hero look, and like he's read it, but
I see. Okay.
yeah. So,
But
think
then
of
we
it
had
that way.
skipped wholly over. And another motivation of mine to wanting to read into it was because around this time live action came out. And the live action I appreciated a lot more than the anime.
Even though it has some pretty distinct differences, it's still fantastic. Have you seen the live action yet?
Actually, no. I definitely know that you raved on about it.
It's really good.
But at the same time, like, I think that's when I started getting into One Piece in general. So honestly, I was more interested in actually seeing the whole thing, which is definitely why, like, I don't skip filler. Like, I have not skipped filler, and it's because, like, even though I hate Foxy, I kept watching it because I was like, there has to be some point to this later on.
Without really spoiling the live action, because Oda was very involved in the production of live action.
Yeah. So Oda had complete creative control over
I
the
feel
production
like
of
the live action is East Blue as Oda probably would have written it with his more, like, as he's developed as a writer, the more to the standard of later arcs.
Probably, yeah.
There's a lot more interconnectivity between stuff in the live action.
And you have to remember that obviously when he started writing East Blue, right,
Mm-hmm.
keep in mind, Alabasta was the end point of the series. So the series was originally supposed to end at Alabasta. So I'm sure there was a fair bit of scrambling he had to do when he kind of realized that this was not going to end at Alabasta and he was going to be able to keep writing.
But, like, Alabasta onwards, the arcs are very, like...
Codified.
Yeah, like
They're
you
together.
can tell
They're a unit.
a saga is a story.
Whereas in East Blue, we call it a saga, but East Blue is made up of like 5 different individual arcs that aren't really connective.
Yeah.
But then you look like Alabasta. Alabasta is a connective arc. It's a large overarching story, right? Skypiea and Jaya, large overarching story. Thriller Bark, large overarching story. Ennis Lobby and Water 7, humongously huge overarching story to the plot. And then Marineford.
But in the live action, the way they write it is they try to add more connective tissue, and they even take a character from a later part of One Piece, insert them into East Blue, and give them an arc that kind of slots pretty decently well with where they're at in that later arc where they're actually introduced.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm trying not to, because I know she hasn't seen it. She
Yeah.
probably will want to watch it eventually.
You will. It's good. It's not
But
that long.
It is a unique experience compared to the rest of the East Blue versions.
First, I shall see the first season of One Piece.
Yeah, you have to finish the first season first.
So I'll see you guys in 500 more episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Give or take a couple hundred.
300. You're around episode 700, 300.
Oh, you're right.
Season 1's ending around, 400. Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 1's ending around 1100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm surprised to say, East Blue in the manga, the opening bits were longer and more drawn out than the anime was.
They
Which
were
is not something
very-
the anime will in the future make a habit of letting happen.
It almost switches it around. Those first couple arcs moved very quickly in the manga,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to kind of the anime.
I mean, in the anime,
Yeah,
it
that's
moved
what
very
I
quickly.
mean. Sorry, they linger on them in the anime, rather than moving through them quite quickly.
Like, I was shocked how much time was spent with like Kobe, what's her name, and like that entire
Alvida.
situation, Alvida, because that's a very brief.
It's
thing in the
very
anime.
funny because I think East Blue technically accounts for what, like, some like what, 80 episodes? Something 60 to 80, somewhere in that ballpark.
Mhm.
I'm off exactly. It's like 60 to 80 episodes. But like so much happens, like so many different storylines happen, whereas you get into like, I think Jaya Skypiea's around the same length, but much less happens.
Like the entirety with
61. I was right on the money.
the entirety of like Kobe and Alvida in the anime is on the boat.
Yeah.
Whereas in the manga, I swear to God, I remember them going to an island at one point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she comes back so
Yeah.
often. So
Yeah.
yeah, wild. Oof. So he was spoiled for Ace, obviously, before he got to that part.
I'll be very honest.
You were too.
If people aren't spoiled for that already, It's just a couple years too late.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It blew up the anime community so much, and it's become such a like iconic like death of a character moment that like it's really hard to avoid.
And I will preface though that although I knew it was coming, the build up to it was definitely more impactful to me. So I'm not sure about you, Nick. Now
I kind of had the opposite experience. Where, like I feel like it was harder. So, for me at least, I knew that both Ace and Whitebeard were gonna they were eating it this arc, or during that saga. But I think the fact that I knew they were eating it ruined the moment a bit for me, because their characters in the saga itself do not feel like they are as fleshed out as I thought they'd be by the time they gave them the big dramatic deaths. I was a lot more impacted by Luffy's reaction to Ace's death than Ace's actual death, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean, because it... So...
There's something to be said for the benefit of, like, voice actors and, like, scene shots and, like, that kind of stuff that I think contributes to the atmosphere when watching the anime as opposed to reading the manga. Because reading the manga, you're just sitting at home flipping pages.
And Luffy and Ace shared maybe 2 scenes in the manga.
Yeah, and those scenes are much more fleshed out in the anime. Because, like, for example, in Alabasta, Ace spends actually quite a fair amount of episodes traveling with them. You know? Like, he spends a pretty decent chunk. They talk a lot and stuff like that, so everyone kind of gets to know him.
And I will state, though, like, so I kind of... I know where you're coming from specifically, though, Nick Nack, because... It left me wanting to know more about both of these characters, to be quite frank, which is definitely something that like I felt in that moment, but it kind of pushed me to then want to watch more.
And then Nick Nack at the exhibit today dropped the comment where he was like, "Wild choice of them to put the emotional backstory after the character has died."
I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it subverts the idea, because it's a common trope. Like, you put the emotional backstory right before this character bites it.
And then you kind of like, oh. Yeah. But in this case, no, he's dead, and now we're going to go back and talk about the emotions and the connection and the feelings and the way that he and Luffy grew up together. It almost makes it feel to me like, so in a normal anime, right, they put the emotional backstory before. It's to hype up that specific character, right, to enhance your connection to that character so that when you lose them, it's that much more impactful.
But it also telegraphs like hell that they're about to die.
Yeah. In this case, I think when the manga came out, there was a pretty large possibility that Luffy succeeded, right, in saving Ace, but, you know, when this was coming out.
I feel like...
and second of all, it makes the backstory more about Luffy's loss than it does about how much we should value Ace, because Ace isn't our main character, right? So I think dropping the backstory afterwards makes it better for Luffy's emotions.
Yeah.
I think that's where the arc's a lot stronger, because the entire arc doesn't give any indication that Ace is going to die because they put the backstory afterwards. Luffy's
visceral reaction.
Not even the visceral reaction, throughout the entire arc, the constant chase to save Ace.
Because
this character who they don't give you a lot of in the manga. So like, oh, he's chasing Ace, he's going to save Ace, and Ace is going to become a much bigger part of this manga.
Yeah, like it never gives you an indication that this is going to become like one of the greatest moments of tragedy that the series has seen so far.
I think I remember texting you, in fact, Seki, of like, how dare you not warn me it was in this arc, because like you did.
Yeah, because Cece knew he was going to die, but I didn't tell her where.
And that's kind of the thing with me, is the fact of like, I will know about like some spoilers and everything, but I will make it a point of like not knowing when it's going to happen specifically. So I'm right in the same boat as you, Nick Nack, of like, I was like, oh, he's definitely going to save him, it's going to be last minute, and that's how I felt all the way up until bam.
Donuts, as Nick Nack put.
The problem for me was I knew it was this arc.
Yeah.
So the fact that this has reached like Darth Vader's, Luke's father's levels of cultural osmosis in the anime community means that all the effort that Oda put into making sure this was this shocking moment and the shocking plot twist of the arc that you then follow Luffy's emotional roller coaster through is undermined.
It's sad for new people getting into the fandom who have had it spoiled, but it's also kind of an incredible look at how impactful it was across so many people that it became almost a cultural osmosis level of a moment.
Like, if he has a lot more screen time in the anime, that's probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm. He does,
Yes.
proportionally. You see him a lot in the anime. Because you think about, like, scenes where he's walking in the desert talking to them. The manga's not going to include 10 pages of him just walking through a desert talking, but the anime can include 5 straight minutes of him walking through a desert talking.
Then I also want to specifically state for Whitebeard, and I'm not too sure about later on, looking directly at Seki, but as far as I'm caught up, I will state, like, although I don't know that much about Whitebeard, and I can't say this without spoiling anything, you see the impact of his death later on.
Told through other characters once again. It's not how much Whitebeard's death impacts us, it's how Whitebeard's death impacts other characters who are going to become important, who we are going to see that effect playing out on. It's not the effect of Whitebeard's death on us, it's the effect of Whitebeard's death on the world, on his crew, on everyone else who's a part of this story who lives on.
Yes, because honestly, like, up until right when he dies, honestly, I don't know much about him.
You barely know anything about him.
Like, all I know, honestly, is he's one of the big past people who has impacted pirates up until now.
As blasphemous as it is for me to say, Whitebeard is unimportant.
Yeah.
Like, the person, the idea of Whitebeard is more important.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of get that from just what I have read, that
Yeah.
he was a bigger figure in the world, but as far as our reading experience as a character, I'm going to be honest here, Whitebeard's death has the same impact to hearing about the fun fact about Helm's Deep, that it's named after a guy that died standing up.
Well, and then the other benefit that CC has with the anime is, those, like, front of chapter images, right? We talked about this when we covered them in the anime in the East Blue Saga, remember?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you loved the episodes where we caught up with Buggy's crew and stuff like that, right? So all of those, like, front of chapter images, which we see Ace in those several times throughout the chapters that you've read, those all get anime moments that are drawn out and extended. So CC gets the added benefit of there also being those moments which you saw as a single still image, but CC got to see as a chunk of an episode.
It's a fundamentally different experience, I feel like. I almost think that the anime was designed more with the idea in mind of, okay, this spoiler is not staying in the bag over time, whereas the manga was definitely meant to be a twist for people who've been reading for months to years up to that point.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, for Whitebeard specifically, honestly, I think I truly got to love him as a character as I progressed in the story and I saw his impact on the world. And it truly, I will state, like, fully, and again, without spoilers, I think there was definitely a couple times where, like, I got brought to tears of, like, how much his loss really was felt throughout everyone.
It's very similar to the fact that, like, we see, obviously, the entire premise of One Piece is the effect of the death of Gold Roger on the world. There are plenty of characters whose Gold Roger's death is incredibly sad to personally, right? We've met some of them, right? For example, Luffy's new teacher, right? Rayleigh, right? And it's a really sad death, like Gold Roger being executed in the way that he was, because from all accounts that we've seen so far, he was not a bad man.
Yeah.
But we don't ever need to be sad for him. We get to watch how his death affects the world, and that's the start of the story, right? The story does not start with Luffy. The story starts with the death of Gold Roger and the waves that created. And really, we're surfing that same wave.
As a reader, we're mostly following Luffy.
Yeah.
Which I do think that Whitebeard's death, for its lack of emotional impact to me as a reader right now where I'm at, even, and obviously his death in specific doesn't have as much impact on Luffy, it does feel, there is a weight to it in my opinion, because Gold Roger and Ace's relationship is pretty well fleshed out in this arc, even if it's not in any relationship to any of the characters we've been following, because you do get the feeling, especially contrasting them with a lot of the other pirates that we see in this arc, that they are a lot closer to Luffy's crew and they are stronger than Luffy's crew. So when Luffy's hitting that point where he's like, I need to get stronger, you feel that impact more because Whitebeard is significantly stronger than
He's sitting
them.
right here. Like, any one of Whitebeard's commanders could literally wipe the floor with Luffy right now. And Whitebeard himself is stronger than his commanders.
And Whitebeard, who is this very, like, as dedicated to his crew kind of captain as Luffy is, that could have been Luffy. Mm-hmm. That could have been Luffy's crew in that exact same situation, decimated even harder. Without, like, the pirate community war behind them.
And it's sort of reminiscent, right? Like, Whitebeard calling in all of his allies is very reminiscent of the way that Luffy is making friends and allies everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm. No, and again, like, it's definitely the fact of, like, we get, we've stated, we get to follow Luffy and we get to fall absolutely in love with him and his crew. But honestly, it's the fact that, like, I'm going to say Whitebeard for the moment, as well as Ace, are definitely set up to be like these pinnacles that are known throughout the world, and then they are come to be loved, to be honest, because now they are not only like loved as a person, but they now like their life and their now life and death quite literally stands for something. And I will make the joke, quite literally in Whitebeard's case,
he stood for it till the end. Whitebeard died like Cucullin did, standing upright facing his enemies and his death. And fuck Blackbeard!
See, my immediate thought was, because I forget that's based on, like, that entire thing is probably based on Cucullin. But my thought goes to Helm Hammerhand, who's also probably based on Cucullin.
Yeah. Because we know Tolkien loved his European mythology.
Yeah.
So it's definitely based on Cucullin. That's from the movie The War of the Rohirrim, which is
it's not even just from that. This goes back to, like, the original like Lord of the Rings appendices.
Did you watch number 2?
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, the second one.
I did, but
on 2 times speed. You remember Helm's Deep?
The big giant battle in the second movie.
I do.
In the city. Yeah. The man who created the city is said to be a man named Helm Hammerhand. And it said that he died standing, hammer in hand.
I do remember that. Yeah.
The horn of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep one last time.
And I will say this specifically, just kind of to annoy Seki. Yes, you heard right. I did watch Lord of the Rings on 2 times speed, and I bring it up every so often, and it absolutely murders her. She's about to murder me.
I am. About to put a cannon shot through her chest the same way that maybe too soon. But yeah, I don't know. I think, and then the other thing is, I think that there's such a fun through line in the politics and like and sort of worldview of One Piece when you look specifically, if you follow Logtown, Alabasta, Ennis Lobby, Water 7, and Marineford, right? Like, you can kind of throw out Skypiea, Jaya, and Thriller Bark in this line, because those are less...
See, what's unfortunate,
the poneglyph is the most important thing in Skypiea in terms of this, like, through line.
I think it's unfortunate, though, when we're talking about the politics, because a lot, like, Skypiea does this, and I think Thriller Bark does this to a lesser extent, where they'll, like, try to interweave cutaways to other characters in the middle of the arc. But the problem is that arc has already, for our main cast that we're following and care about, really devolved into a pretty mindless fight arc. And I'm just like, I don't care.
I will be...
And I'm, like, just glazing over the politics, not even realize it's happening.
Yeah, I will be very frank with this, and I have told Seki this. I actually really enjoy those arcs. Not super much for, like, the politics, not super much for the fight scenes. It is specifically the comedy. And unfortunately, I am just very... the comedy is just what hits me more.
But I mean, once again, the comedy hits harder in the anime, I think, than it does in the manga.
No, that definitely can be the case.
Yeah. But like the politics of the world are interesting, right? If we start with like Logtown and sort of like the Marines, right? And then you move into Alabasta and you get like the warlords and like the level of like unfair tyrannical power that the world government has and that the warlords can exert.
I also want to question if maybe it hits harder, like the comedy hits harder in the manga. Sorry to cut you off there, but I want to keep to the comedy for a second. If the comedy might come off better in the anime than the manga, because the manga is operating under a much older translation style, and which may not have been nearly as refined as the anime was by the time it got translated. Because we're still at the point where we're at in the story calling Zoro Zolo.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So it's obviously not gotten quite the same second look. No, that's Zoro, not Zolo. So if it's not getting that, I wonder if other places in the I know it's a loaded term these days, the localization of it hasn't quite been as ironed out.
Well, we're not watching the 4Kids version.
No.
So.
But even
Luckily
still,
not.
like there's writing styles and writing in certain like poetic ways that like you lose certain impact sometimes.
That is fair. I would not know. I've seen both the dub and the sub, and I don't really differentiate anymore at this point.
I personally have gone between each, so I feel like the action itself sometimes is a little bit easier for me to understand it and be impacted by it. And again, it is like the tone of voice, the screams of pain and agony that genuinely like are what hit me hard. And with the comedy, it definitely is the fact of like even sometimes the laugh track. I'm just like, you know what? Okay, I'll give it to you. It's kind of funny.
Sometimes the added the audio effects can really be helpful in like the physical comedy of the series.
It also might not help that I've never thought Luffy was a very funny character.
Blasphemy.
Yeah,
Absolute blasphemy.
Like he's on screen doing his little funny Luffy, like I'm rubber things. I'm just like,
we've finally come across the diametrically opposed opinion here. Luffy not funny, Luffy very funny.
Yeah, no, I quite literally enjoyed the comedy, particularly even by Luffy, and also very much by Usopp. And I know that is quite literally.
I like Zoro and Sanji.
No, and that's completely fine. The issue here is I'm very much like I grew up with like gag comedy, so like. And as Iseki knows, I grew up with like a box set TV with black and white everything, and so I grew up watching the Three Stooges.
Hey.
And so gag comedy is kind
every time that Luffy and Usopp are on screen together doing some shit, it's a Three Stooges routine.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And the third stooge is whoever's dumb enough to get pulled in, usually Chopper.
Exactly. And so honestly, I think this is kind of like a little bit more my speed of comedy. Like, I completely understand, like, full-on sets of, like, jokes, like, run-on, more story-based. But honestly, nothing gets me more than a good gag joke. Kind of like Skypiea with the Rubber Man versus the Lightning Man. Lightning Man has never met what rubber is. And to me, that is hilarious.
That is absolutely hilarious. Enel had all the... Like, Enel arguably has one of the most powerful devil fruits in the entire series, right? Like, lightning is incredibly violent and destructive and powerful, right? It really sucks he got put right up against the rope, because lightning versus, like, Kid... Yeah. He would have won.
No,
right?
I think he would have absolutely killed him day one.
Honestly, Lightning versus like Law or any of the other supernovas, honestly, Enel had a pretty good chance against a lot of the supernovas. Yeah. He just had the fucking misfortune of it being the Rubber Man.
Quite literally, the sole person on the planet.
Oil and water.
Yeah.
Rubber and lightning. That's so funny.
Yeah, so honestly, like, and I know quite a few people state that, like, they will skip Skypiea in general. Like, they have told me, like,
I do.
Yeah.
I watched it once. I think it's funny, but I do skip it when I watch the series.
That's completely fine. Like, I think that's fine. And again, like, I will watch, again, arcs that are kind of just filler, just for the sake of watching it. But honestly, I loved Skypiea, and I love the gag jokes. But yeah, it is fully, I completely understand people when they say they skip it, because it serves quote-unquote no importance later on.
Other than the poneglyph.
But honestly, full comedy, it was just Lightning Man versus Rubber Man.
So what I'm hearing is you, me, entirety of this Foxy binge right now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, but back to the political point I was trying to make. So, obviously, Alabasta, you've got the corruption of the world government, and it's sort of like the absolute power that they have in some ways, and then like the power of the Shichibukai, right? Like these privateers, basically, that the government doesn't care what they're doing, so long as they're nominally doing what the government requests them to do, right? And then obviously Water 7 and Ennis Lobby, where you've got like the secret government agents, right? And like actually genocide.
Yeah.
Like actual condoned genocide and murder as a way to deal with your problems. And not even like hard to do genocide. No. This is like something that can just be called in at any point by someone of a certain level or higher in the military, and no one will question it. Not a single person will question it.
And I'm going to say
what
right
the
now,
fuck?
I think these are very hard-hitting arcs, and I do appreciate them. These are my favorite arcs, like Alabasta, Water 7, Ennis Lobby, and Marineford. But it does make it harder to be as entertained when characters that were previously kind of fun to see on screen, like Smoker and Garp, are on screen or on the page. I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys are fucking enablers.
Okay. But, like, I kind of love the dichotomy we get between, like, all the different types of Marines that because you have people like Garp and Smoker who have, like, a sense of moral compass. And yeah, it's their job, and they will do their job, but they also listen to a moral compass outside of the Marines are righteous, pirates are evil, you know?
Yeah, but like we're exiting like, oh, your country's committed a couple atrocities and tried to cover that up, to no, your country is being run by the Council of Hitlers.
Yes. Yeah.
The
world government is a little.
Yeah.
Look, you don't know much about the world government yet.
Yeah.
But
I will say though,
we'll get there.
I think it also shows though like how far they come though, because I want to state like I think that we really get a better view into them with Kobe, and his dream is just he just wants to be a Marine. That's it.
But he wants to be a Marine, not to like commit atrocities.
No, absolutely
or,
not.
Anything like
but
that.
it's the case of like he looks up to them.
Yeah.
And then we develop more in the story, and then we see like every horror that we can possibly imagine.
With Kobe, I'm like, oh, there's naivete there.
Yeah.
But
and it helps that he's serving under Garp, who has, like, Garp is at a high enough level as a vice admiral that he is able to have a fair amount of freedom within the military organization because of his prior deeds, right? Like, Garp has a lot of latitude to move in the ways with which he wants and to be an eccentric old fuckwad. Obviously, not extensive latitude, as we find out. But he's got a lot of latitude and some friends in high places. Of course, then you have fucking Borsalino, Akainu, and Sakazuki.
Yeah.
Who can, for the most part, suck my...
I will also state, before anything, because I cannot pronounce one of their names, and out of spite, I do call him the Banana Man.
Borsalino.
Yes.
Yeah.
I refuse.
I could probably write right now where I'm. I could write an entire dissertation on the morality and shitty ethics of Garp.
It's so bad. But one of the things I love about like Garp, and then you see like I said, the three admirals, right?
Yeah.
And you've got kind of like willing to let things slide because he cares more about the morality. Truly neutral, but willing to do what he's told to do, right? If he's not too bored. And I am right, you are wrong. You will die when you are wrong. You have three very different flavors of like world government employee here. Yeah. And of course, poor Sengoku up at the top, having to manage those three and Garp.
Listen. We can all go with the meme.
Poor Buddha man.
No, not even. Whose fault is it?
Garp.
and his family.
Yeah.
It's just Garp and his family. That's the
What
problem.
was it Sengoku said? Why is it always your family, Garp?
And it only
'Cause
gets
that's
truer as the arcs
Dragon,
go.
Luffy, Ace.
I will also state, though, it kind of shows a little bit of, like, although we don't really get to see too much of Garp at this moment, I will state, it kind of shows the people he surrounds himself with, even at a younger age, because, again, who is his son? Dragon. Who's his grandson? Luffy. And then we go back more, and who he associates with even later on in years shows that they are very powerful and impactful.
Obviously,
to One Piece.
he was close friends with Gold Roger, right?
Yeah.
And Whitebeard. Otherwise, Gold Roger would not have trusted him to watch his son.
Exactly, and it genuinely shows the fact of, like, so yes, you're right, of, like, we could say, like, he overlooks things, but it also shows of, like, the people that he, I'm gonna say, raises even.
I feel like I understand what we're going for with Garp here, because Garp is supposed to be like the happier face of the world government, very much against pirates, like something like a buggy or a crocodile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the act, because pirates are not saints in this universe, even though the world government is.
Look, Luffy might be a naive, good-intentioned
Dumbass.
friend to most people and dumbass. But let's not forget the fact that pirates commit actual fucking atrocities all over this world every day. For as much as I love Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law, those are both criminals.
Yeah.
Those are criminals. Kid murdered his way into his supernova position.
Yes.
He is on that list because he has murdered a lot of people and committed actual atrocities. Law, at least. You know, there's stuff going on there that you'll find out. But Kid is a criminal. It's a red flag that I would wave. But he is a criminal.
I think the perspective of a Garp-like character, I get less and less sympathetic to as time goes on, because it becomes more and more apparent that the issue of the world government is that in what you would see as the benefit of a world government. Because the idea of the world government so sort of like it's shitty, but there's security in something being this powerful, able to put down these pirates. But arguably, it being so big and not as localized means that it's not able to address these pirates in more local areas. So you get things like Buggy taking over entire islands on East Blue or Arlong. So
and Arlong was paying off his local marine captains.
Oh yeah.
Because if you have all that power concentrated upwards, it kind of has to trickle down, and it doesn't use that power in those smaller areas.
Those more powerful people, they're focused more because of the world government having to deal with the whole One Piece thing and the pirate outbreak. Those more powerful people are focused in the Grand Line and in the New World and at Marineford, not in the Blues, right? Like in the Blues, these pirates develop and terrorize, and they're only really dealt with regularly when they make it to the Grand Line, and then by the time they make it to the Grand Line, they're gaining a lot of power, so you need those more powerful people in the Grand Line. It's a cycle that stops it from ever being localized and powerful, because they need that power in the New World and the Grand Line. They can't spread it to the Blues.
And being so powerful and so untouchable creates a situation where they or any corrupt members of that organization can also become just like groups of terror for these smaller areas. So if the world government were not the world government, even if it was a bunch of smaller governments that might be a little bit corrupt, they would be significantly less of a problem than the world government itself.
Yeah.
So it's antithetical to his own.
Look, I actually think that we are supposed to be getting less sympathetic to Garp. Actively, Marineford, the Summit War, Garp is at his absolute worst as a character that we are supposed to like. You cannot really like Garp in Marineford, because the thing is, I understand that he is going through a lot, right? And I understand that we are meant to feel at least a little bad for him, but at the same time, if he really did place his family above the ideals that he believed in, then Sengoku should have been putting his whole attention to stopping Garp. Not other things. Like, Garp, I don't think in Summit War is supposed to be sympathetic. I don't think we're supposed to empathize with him properly. Not really. And I kind of like that. Because up till Marineford, we like Garp. Garp is fun. He's the crazy uncle.
Yeah.
But he's the crazy uncle who is a very high up pawn of the world government, and he's got to keep that position.
Because, like, by the time we
Because if Garp leaves the world government, he becomes next on their list of dangerous people.
By the time we hit Summit War, it's pretty apparent the best thing to happen to world government would be the world government falling apart. Like, because, like, even if a lot of people would be very hurt and die because of the pirates being the pirates, you kind of need that. Like, that world government is worse as an entity and causes a lot of those problems, even if they're caused by the pirates in theory. So it just makes Garp feel like a bit of a coward of a character by the time you hit Summit War.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way.
No, it's a well-written character because of that.
No, I think it.
It would have been easy to just make him
because
likable.
Honestly, this is the one thing that I like about Oda in quite a few things, particularly in his characters, is the fact that he does not make it simple. Other than like one or two characters, there is not inherently good. There's not inherently bad. He makes them complicated, and even if you don't understand it, it is what makes that person come alive. Needless to say, of course, Blackbeard shall die in a ditch forever.
I think it's impressive that Oda manages to write characters who are evil and characters who are good, and then characters who are evil and have a reason to be evil, and yet that reason does not redeem them, right? It's impressive, because in most cases, if you write a villain and you give them a reason for why they're a villain, it kind of redeems that villain, right? It makes it hard to feel as negatively about them as you do, because there's a reason for what they're doing. But Oda's very good at managing to write characters that kind of span the entire spectrum, right? Where he has written villains in One Piece where I look at them and I'm like, that's a horrible, sympathetic, terrible backstory. Like, I genuinely empathize with this character, but they are also one of the most evil people that exists in this universe, right? Even all of these horrible things that happen to them are not a valid redemption or excuse for what this character is perpetrating, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's impressive. In a lot of ways.
Honestly, that's what like kind of draws me towards even like Garp, because it's the fact of like
he's a good character, right? Like he's a nice man,
but
he's committing horrible things and absolutely being a coward and not.
Well, I think it's less that he's committing, because he's not doing anything inherently harmful to individuals.
Overlooking.
But him being such a powerful force that is a blockage against the world government having real issues, even if he is protecting individual people, is harmful.
Yeah. No, and I'm not ever gonna state like I think that he is a perfect person or even character. Because again, I think that's what Oda is kind of going for. Because again, for example, Blackbeard, you are supposed to hate this person. This person right here, hate. In general, direct your hatred here, but
giant target,
right there, big bullseye. His backstory, no. Just in general, you were born evil. But other characters that you're actually supposed to get to know better, honestly, are just something to look forward to. Garp, Luffy, Riley, Gold Roger, Ace. All these people, it kind of compounds on the fact of like, even though they are supposed to be the good guys, even Kobe can be even said, they're supposed to be the good guys. We're supposed to like them, but they live different lives. And it kind of adds to the complexity of them being characters, and it genuinely makes you either like them, hate them, or don't know how to feel about them.
I'm going to the bathroom real quick.
I think Kobe's an interesting dichotomy to this, because Kobe is different from where Garp is sitting. He's a lot more naive to like everything going on. Like, because Garp knows about the inner workings of the world government. Kobe does not.
No,
not in any detail.
And
the one time we see him seeing like injustice at the end of the summit, where he is saying, "No, you cannot push your Marines to keep chasing these pirates. It's over. We need to stop." And he almost gets killed for it. So like he's very clearly willing to stand up when he needs to. He's not showing the same like. The same deference to power that Garp necessarily is. So I'm a lot more sympathetic to where Kobe is at this moment in the story.
No, and you'll definitely feel that way, and I also feel that way. But honestly, it's the fact of, and again, I'm saving this kind of for like future wise, because we don't know what's going to happen to him. Mm-hmm. Even I don't know what's going to happen to him, even though I'm a little further along than you are. But it is the fact of like you see him stand up once. But we also don't know what he actually knows, quote unquote, in this span, because he's been in there for what, 2-3 years now, supposedly? Or like quite a bit of time, because we see him change drastically.
But he's also been mostly under the service of Garp.
True, but
which is a very happy face on it, which is Garp's sin for giving that happy face, not Kobe's for believing it.
No, but at the same time, it's the fact of like, even though he is under his protective wing, we don't know what he's been exposed to either, because that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to see absolutely zero evil in the world. He's already seen some of it. Mm-hmm. And again, like we'll see later on, hopefully more development or like what he even knows throughout the story, because it's kind of evident that he's going to be kind of a part of the story further along.
I'm more curious to see where his arc ends at this point, because he's having this arc in a very turbulent time, as far like Garp's becoming Garp happens way before the story ever actually takes place.
No, we are definitely seeing, and again, I don't know anything about further than like where I am with Garp specifically, but it is the fact of like he is what, supposed to be 60s, 70s.
You don't teach an old dog new tricks.
He is not going to change. He probably will never change.
Whereas I feel like Kobe, by the end of the series, is going to have to... Because you don't set up the world government as being the world government and not bring that to a head at the climax of this entire ass series.
Yeah, and honestly, I hope that it doesn't come to kind of a full circle of Kobe becomes somewhat like a newer Garp. And I'm genuinely hoping that is not the case, but it somewhat feels like it sometimes to me.
Well, I think Kobe very purposely is mirroring... Like, I feel like Kobe is a mirror to Garp in some ways. But I also think by the end of the series, it's setting Kobe up to be a perfect foil to Garp, if that makes sense.
No, I can see what you mean. And honestly, I hope that this is kind of where I hope it leads to. But again, I'm never going to say, like, I know what Oda's going to do, because honestly, if that was the case, I would have never thought that he was going to kill Ace. Quite frankly speaking. But, yeah, it definitely feels like, and I'm hoping that Kobe just doesn't make it that he becomes a newer version of Garp, even though I've stated, I love Garp. I do.
Well, I don't think Garp by the end... I think Garp by the end of the story... Because right now, Garp is teacher to Kobe, like as far as their dynamic as characters go. When you have that dynamic as characters, unless they kill Garp off, which they totally could, writing-wise, I feel like for me it makes the most sense that you would typically have this... when you have a student and teacher dynamic, you typically have the student, if the teacher's still living, surpass the teacher, and the teacher learning from the student.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like that I think that has to be the direction we're taking Kobe in, so long as Garp is still alive.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to make any predictions, specifically on that, because again, Oda could totally take it on a different scale, even than what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But honestly, it kind of shows to me a little bit of like how it's progressed, even with Garp specifically, of like he is this top leader in the world government to having a son that is public enemy number one. then having Luffy start becoming closer and closer to also becoming public enemy number one.
Yeah. We'll see. I think the world government's just the most interesting part of the series right now, for me at least. Like, seeing the interactions with... It's the most... when I say intro, I mean in terms of, like, the lore right now. More... Because obviously, like, the character dynamics are good.
Yeah.
But it is so all-encompassing in this world, and that just feels intentional to me.
Honestly, I would say personally what has really gotten to me is, you kind of stated, like, Kobe's naive.
Mm-hmm.
When you start the story, it kind of feels like we are too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
as we're progressing in the story, it kind of feels like we're naive to the world. And as we follow along with Luffy, and although he keeps the same attitude through most of everything, I'm going to say that specifically, most of everything, it really kind of turns to us as well as, like, seeing what the world is really like. And it goes from basic, the Marines are chasing after the bad guys, to now you have several layers of, like, history, of dynamics of families and of friends, and it really just kind of gets you when it's not so easy to say it's black and white. It really is. Like, for example, like, Blackbeard, he was a beloved character on Whitebeard's crew for how long, only for him to turn and now be the most hated character.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously for me it's a Foxy, but
I don't really hate any of the characters in One Piece right now. None of them have really got on my nerves at all. None of our recurring cast, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
No, and that is completely fine, because honestly, I could tell you, like, I don't particularly, like, if I see them on screen, I'm not particularly going to say, oh my god, they're on the screen again. Of course, except for one.
See, but I am that way with some... Viewers of the channel will know I am that way with some characters from Series Watch, some that Seki have given us.
Oh, no, it's fine. I know all about Lambo.
Yeah.
How dare you? Beloved character of mine. That is definitely a throwback for you viewers if you have seen the episode. But it has been the fact of, like, I always wonder with each episode how the story is going to progress.
I'm going to have a wild time editing this.
We had a very long conversation. We had a very long conversation about the character arc of Kobe and where we predicted it was going.
Okay. Seki is not allowed to say anything.
I actually can't. I am legally banned. Definitively prevented.
What we were kind of stating was the fact that I wish that it does not go full circle into Kobe turning into a new version of Garp.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we've been going for an hour. Seki, you're back. Do we wanna start wrapping this up?
Probably. I think it's interesting considering the difference between watching the anime and reading the manga, because there is a definitive difference, right? There are things you get in the anime that you don't get in the manga, but I think there's also the manga is sort of the intended way to read the story, right? Like, this is how the story was written. This is the direct-to-audience version of the story that Oda wanted to write, right, in the moment. And I'm sure, like every author, you look back over your work and maybe you have, like, things you wish you could change, right? But that's irrelevant for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, So it's definitely interesting to see the difference. I think CC probably does benefit from, like, the addition of, like, audio tracks and laugh tracks and good voice acting and stuff like that. And some scenes that might just be, like, a single panel in the manga getting a little bit more fleshed out in the anime because you've got time,
Mm-hmm.
But it also takes CC much longer to get through sections of it, so it's...
Yeah.
I know, she's been on Dressrosa for so long, and they have not started Wano or Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island, technically. I am waiting for them to start Whole Cake Island.
Listen. I got all the way up till Seki's favorite character, the Flamingo Man.
And now you have to meet my favorite good character.
No.
Who's in the next arc.
Eventually,
not my favorite good character. You've already met my favorite good character.
Eventually, I will see it, but probably not by the time Seki wants me to, which is probably immediately.
So now I gotta ask the very, very, very important question.
Yes.
Is the next video like this coming when we catch up and finish season 1? Or is the next video coming after One Piece has ended?
Honestly, I actually think the next time we should do this is after Wano and Zoe. So we'll do like Wano, Zoe, Levelly, which is like 3 episodes, Reverie. And then I would actually want to push Egghead and Elbaf out, in my opinion. I know that's not where season 1 will end. Season 1's obviously ending after Egghead, technically, but I would want to push Egghead and Elbaf out to their own separate chunk like that in the ending, because they are sort of all together, but keep the post-time skip to the end of like Wano Reverie together.
Okay.
So,
I might be back, depending on how my schedule, Seki's schedule, and Knick-Knack's schedule collides.
Yeah.
I'm tapped out, dude.
I know, but it is your circus and your monkeys.
It's my circus. It's my monkeys. Every word hurts right now. Like, physically hurts, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.